invite the Executive Director, Wimbiz, Ansatu Adegbite, aka Answer the Great. Answer the Great. The Great.
Good morning to our, thank you very much. Very humbling, very humbling. Good morning to our conference chairperson, the keynote speaker, our conference speakers, moderators, anchors. And I must admit that Olive and Remy have been doing an excellent job as a delectable duo. Well done. Our virtual anchors, Hanato and Lerato. Of course, our after-party anchors that we will see this evening. And then members of the diplomatic corps, the public sector, and our private sector. I want to, again, say a pleasant good morning to our founders, our members of the board of trustees, the Wimbiz community, past conference chairs, female achievers, some of who have now become our life members, Wimboard ambassadors, our women in politics mentors and mentees, our past executive council chairpersons as well as the members, all our life members, our associates, our team members at the HQ who have made my life so much easier this year. A lot of people don't realize that there were a lot of programs and initiatives I wasn't even a part of this year, and they carried on even in my absence. We thank our sponsors. I acknowledge all of you here, our media partners. I know you are a lot. All our vendors, our volunteers, friends of Wimbiz, and amongst our media partners, I really want to thank Doyen Circle. If you notice, throughout this preparation of the conference, Wimbiz was all over so many billboards, over 200 times, all for free because of Doyen Circle. I thank you visuals who have communicated Wimbiz so excellently well throughout this year through all their videos. So thank you visuals. Having said that, I want to thank all our conference delegates. It is one thing to organize a conference. It's another thing to have people in the room. Thank you for showing up. We are very grateful. It is important for me to acknowledge the fact that we have quite a number of delegates that came in from different countries in Africa. We have women from Togo, Cameroon, South Africa, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire. They are here. You see, some of them are here. They're all in the room. And so many other nations. Nabu, we see you. Thank you so much. You are all the nest of our organization called Wimbiz. It is because of you that you are our network, our essence, our support, and our tribe, and we are grateful. A lot of people over the years always ask me, where do I get my energy from? In fact, many of them yesterday asked me the same thing. People even ask, what does she take? Confess. What does she drink? What medicine? I must confess that I don't take anything. No medicine, no energy drinks. However, today I will admit what the secret of my energy is. I am driven by an inner passion that is ingrained in a strong sense of purpose because I grew up watching my mother, a working woman, Binta Taidi. She trained my siblings and I to university level. She was an extremely strong and resilient woman. And I must admit that I feel saddened that she didn't live long enough to eat the fruit of her labor. She did die of cancer a few years ago, but I live to validate the fact that she came into this world so that when people see me, they will know that I was raised by a good woman. It is that inner passion that drew me to an organization called Wimbiz 21 years ago. Because I saw an organization full of strong, resilient, hardworking women. And these were the founders that started the organization. In many ways, I say Wimbiz women are alpha women. And for those who don't know what that means, come and have a taste of it. It is in this place that I have learned many leadership lessons, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But each one of those lessons have left me with a critical golden nugget and a huge chest of wisdom. However, this particular year taught me an extremely important leadership lesson: the power in the strongest leadership voices that we hear. We often see leaders like myself, and a lot of us don't even believe that we can do what we do. But the ones who dare to bring out the sweetness from sour grapes and push you into a spectrum of beauty exist. And for me, one of those leaders this year was Ms. Toyin Olawoye. I must admit that you gave me the best of my 7 years in Wimbies with the support of the founders. Why do I say that? They had all collectively raised me. And you know what the eagle does? When they throw you up, they now leave you to fly. And that is what I experienced this year. And I want to thank you for giving and believing in the Wimbies HQ, giving us the opportunity and the pace to deliver on the spirit of excellence that you have all ingrained in us. I felt it very, very important today to mention that there are voices that have continued to ring in my head throughout the year that remind me daily that I do not stand alone. Why am I mentioning these names today? Because it is very important for me to help all of us here understand that I appear to stand as one, but truly I stand with many. So that no one is fooled to think that I am a superstar. Far from it. In any way, I am a product of the leadership lessons that I have learned from these women and their powerful voices that ring in my head every day and night. I start with some of our founders, all of which their voices continue to ring in my head. The firmness of Mrs. Idigbe, oftentimes pushing me hard and hammering on Hansatu, find your voice. Mrs. Roberts sternly warning me with her legal mandate, Hansi, if you fail, I will personally look for you and flog you myself. I thank God I did not face the executive koboko. Whether it is the strong voice of Mrs. Adeshola insisting that I focus, and I need not tell you that I have no choice but to focus. Well, and I don't detour. Mrs. Awoshika reminded me that there is a season of rest in every organizational journey, and she reminded me that I have indeed entered mine. Then that of Mrs. Zacchaeus, who is often loud but soft at some instances, but each time communicating strongly the point that needs to be made that rings so loudly in my mind. Then there are softer voices like that of Ms. Bashir, who is often very quiet, but reminds me of my growth and the positive changes that she has seen in my team. And then Mrs. Aziz, consistently hammering on the need for me to be politically correct. The much funnier voices of Mrs. Desalu and Mrs. Okujaks, who often cause me to laugh with their often unexpected, and even just yesterday, Mrs. Desalu was asking me, whose devilish idea was it to start this conference this early and disturb her beauty sleep? Mrs. Igodalo, ensuring that excellence remains my watchword, and Mr. Chichi Okonjo, the silent observer who never fails to respond with appreciation each time. Then we have the likes of our past conference chairpersons, Lady Maiden Ibru and Chief Mrs. Nike Okonde, who at every Wimbies event cheer me on and keep pushing me on. The past EC chairpersons, and as I said, I'm mentioning all of them because when you say Hansatu, you are doing well. This is the reason I am doing well. The past EC chairpersons, now christened by our founders as Chair 1 to 4, and we have shortened it to C1 to 4. C1 Osayi, who I call Mentor 1. She's consistently guiding me, looking for opportunities for my professional development and growth. Then we have C2 Aisha, the chair, as I call her, she was the one that taught me how to raise funds. I recall when I joined Wimbies in 2017, I asked her, how do you raise money? She said it's very easy. You ask. You either get a yes or a no. Either way, you have asked. With that simple principle, I learned how to ask. And another thing she taught me was when we are looking for solutions, she says, walk the phones. And each time we are looking to fill a room like this, all of us walk those phones. Then we have C3, Olubumi, who I call Mrs. T. She is the communications guru. She taught me attention to detail. She's the one that has taught us how to continue to push. And when you see us doing a lot of communications and media engagement, she was my key teacher. Then we have C4, Ngove, the name. She taught me to keep my eyes on financial matters. She taught me to keep our costs low and our income high to ensure that our financial statements always remain positive in all we do. It is the many voices in Wimbies and the past EC collectively who are too many to mention individually. And those like Ambassador Nimi Akinkube and Mrs. May Mbu, you won't believe it, they are so busy. But each time, even throughout this year, they always send me messages encouraging me to keep going and telling me that we are doing a good job. We have people like Mrs. Wright, Mrs. George, Mrs. Oke, Mrs. Malize, and so many other EC members who continue to ensure that I remain professional in all I do. And the likes of Tara and Indidi, who I reached out to last year when the founders had told me that the EC were stepping down, to just have a discussion with them. And they really guided me on how to lead the organization. And I can tell you that they have done a fantastic job. It is the voices of Folusho and Fadima too, who in many ways encourage me more than many of you will know, and oftentimes put a smile on my face. It is the voices of the past committee chairs, as well as the present ones, who check on me, guide me, correct me, challenge me to do more. I am grateful this year for the programs and the conference chair, Binta Max Beniji, BMG, as we call her. And you are my mother's namesake. What BMG has done is she left us to fly, always there to encourage. And this is a result of what she has done this year. We have Wimboard, Mrs. Celia, who I wish was here. Wimpo, Women in Politics, Mrs. Oguyemi. Finance, Ijoma Taylor, IJT as I call her. Audit, Mrs. Ajumogobia. And our governance chair, who is now the Board of Trustees chairman, Ms. BC Adeyemi. My management at the Wimbies HQ gave me great peace, confidence, and creativity this year. They ran so many programs in my absence, so many initiatives. Their collective voices in most cases communicating to me that they have understood thus far what the vision of Wimbies stands for. I find that even the voices of those who may not like me, nor believe in me at all, who are very critical, are all very relevant for my journey as they provide for me a succor of growth. It is these collective women and the voices that ring in my head that has made 2022 for me at Wimbies the year of Giwan Mata. Giwan Mata in Hausa means the elephant women. Why Giwan Mata? We know that the elephant women have a high level of intelligence. They communicate effectively well. And their maternal strength, sensitivity, and strong support as we move along on any journey is what makes the elephant big and bold. So, in 2022, Wimbies started with a lot of uncertainties, with the founders stepping down as the Board of Trustees and the Executive Council dissolved. But We did start with our roundtable, as we have seen from the videos, with 1,066 participants. Our mentoring, Wimby's mentoring, had 140 mentees and mentors. We had our Women in Politics mentoring program, which was supported by the African Women Development Fund, with 125 mentees and 10 speakers and 19 speakers and 10 mentors. We had our International Women's Day, which held in Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and virtually, simultaneously, with 396 participants. It was in this month that we were faced with the rejection of the gender bills. And Wimby's, with over 400 women groups, was a strong advocate at the National Assembly, appealing to our National Assembly to revert them all. After that, we had our public procurement training with Women in Business, sponsored by the Export Promotion Council, with 314 women present. Our Wimby's Capital, which is our female entrepreneurship development program, had Sparkle as a partner on leveraging business growth using data, with 160 women. The Women and Her Money, sponsored by Stanbic IBTC, had over 1,000 participants. It shows you that women do love money. Then we had our mock presidential debate, and we did see a lot of creativity in our Women in Politics mentees, because that debate was their final test before graduation. This year, we were privileged to have the United Nations Women Roundtable Dialogue with female CEOs and board chairpersons, with over 109 of these CEOs and chairpersons in the room. And Ms. Beatrice Eyong, the country representative for Nigeria and ECOWAS, who is here today, was there to host all of us. The WIMBORD, Women on Boards Mentoring Program, had 88 mentors and mentees. Then the Media Roundtable, using technology and innovation to enhance business growth, had 393 participants and was sponsored by Flutterwave. WINCAP, again, had Building Your Business Backbone for Longevity, with 460 members present. The United Nations Private Sector and Women in Politics Dialogue, held in Abuja and Lagos, with 138 participants. We had our Women on Boards Institute, with MasterCard and Polaris sponsoring, with 241 women who attended. Our Jobberman Gender Roundtable, with 53 members, and we were able to induct 172 new associates and 32 life members this year, bringing our total pool to 1,504 associates and 158 life members. It's a lot of talking. As I conclude, I want to appreciate our partners and our collaborators, the United Nations Women, who officially inaugurated Wimby's on a national steering committee this year with the Nigerian Ministry of Women Affairs and the African Development Bank, so that we can collectively push the women economic empowerment agenda through affirmative procurement and procurement reform in Nigeria. What does that mean? We are now advocating that every public and private sector procurement considers 30% for women in business. We also had the Lagos State Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation Ministry, headed by the Commissioner of Women Affairs, Honorable Bolaji Dada, who is also here, and who invited Wimby's for WAPA Connect, in fact, giving us 100 seats and the opportunity to be the keynote. We have the Association of Nigerian Women Business Network, ANWBN. Wimby's is a founding part of that organization. We have over 70 business membership networks. So Wimby's is an NGO, but we're also a business membership network. And this year and last year, Wimby's served as the head of their governance and constitution committee. And then again, we had an opportunity with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, a very strong connection even though we will be partnering next year, they were able to introduce us to the Development Research and Project Center, who flew all our leadership team, our programs team, as well as our communications team to Abuja for a 3-day leadership retreat, all free of charge. As I conclude, I would like to appreciate all our media partners once again and our sponsors and volunteers. You are the reason we are able to do what we do successfully well. I use this opportunity to congratulate the new Board of Trustees of Wimbiz, ably chaired by Ms. Bisi Adeyemi, and I wish them an impactful tenure as we work together to move the organization forward both strategically and operationally. I personally want to thank my 22-year-old sons and my 18-year-old son, Akinwade and Ademiku. The reason I do that is a lot of people just say, this woman, that she's moving like this, how does she do it? They ask me a lot of questions. Does she have anybody? And I really do appreciate my siblings. I know my sister is here for all their support. Because as I do what I do, it is that support at the background that helps me focus and do it excellently well. So, Giwaye Mata, keep being big and bold. Dominate your environment with your presence and intelligence. Keep learning, keep building, keep moving, keep focused, as Mrs. Adeshola will say. Don't stop until they know your name. Thank you.
Keep clapping, keep clapping. Answer the great. Answer the great. May you remain great.